Bethesda, ladies and gentlemen, they have made some amazing games. In the Elder Scrolls series, probably some of my favorite games of all time, to be completely honest. Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. I have played these games collectively for more hours than I have spent doing literally anything else that you do alone in front of your computer at night, if you catch my drift. Masturbating. And that's really saying something. So I wanted to make this video giving my opinion of what I think makes the Elder Scrolls games so dope. So, broken this video down into some easy to read categories, and I don't really have a very great transition, so we're just gonna hop right into the first one. Let's go. Part 1, freedom. Okay, so clearly I think that this is the #1 thing that pops into most people's heads when they think about why they love Elder Scrolls games. It's Bethesda's trademark at this point, you know, creating these massive, insanely huge-ass open worlds just filled with little tidbits and minutia and fucking disgusting-looking NPCs. There's just so much to do and to find and to explore. Ever since Arena and Daggerfall came out back in the day, it's the thing that the most people just get the most rock solid about, you know, when they think of these games. That magical moment, that mystical little instant at the beginning where you emerge from the boat or the cave or the castle and spread out before you like a sexy lady if she were composed of naturally formed landscaped elements. Is this world of unlimited possibilities. And the games do pretty well right off the bat at showing you, you know, hey, there's this big main quest line over here, but you really don't have to do that. You can kind of just do whatever the fuck you want, honestly. Morrowind drops you off in a town and says, hey, take this letter, deliver it to some guy, and then, you know, there's probably a lot of things to do after that, but you're in this town. You can do literally anything. You could go into any house. You can talk to any NPC. It's all up to you, and at the end of the day, given the options of going on this linear quest and looking at the town, it's very easy that somebody's gonna say, hey, Mr. Questline, sounds good, but I'm just gonna hang out in this town over here if you feel me, dog. Oblivion has you come out right in front of this mysterious and magical elven ruin placed on the other side of this interesting looking lake, and the game says, hey, you could go explore the main quest line over here, or you could take a little dip and explore this mysterious elven ancient ruin. Skyrim, boom, just pops you out right here with this massive, beautiful landscape splayed out before your eyeballs. You're gonna go down to the dinky little village that the fucking peasant in the dirty clothes told you to start a revolution in, or you're gonna go try to run up that mountain, see what you can find at the top of it. I think that answers itself pretty much. You are truly just unchained in these games. You can do whatever you want. You can go into any house. You can talk to any NPC. You can rob and you can kill anybody that you want, with a few exceptions. And you gotta deal with your consequences. There's nothing stopping you from just running through the fields and catching butterflies, dude. Why not? It's this overwhelming and unbelievable freedom to choose your own fate, make your own path, be a hero, be a thief, be an assassin, be just a naked guy running through the streets, punching people in the face. That stands as a central pillar of what makes the Elder Scrolls games just so amazing, in my opinion, personally. And now obviously it does have its downsides. I will mention those. It's really hard to push the urgency and importance of a narrative where evil, malicious dragons are working to take over the world when you're really not given much incentive to do that over just, you know, crafting fucking daggers for 6 days straight or doing whatever. But it's a good trade-off in my head when I think of how many games exist out there that just cram this linear storyline down your throat and say, hey, walk down this straight hallway with the fucking cutscenes littered out before you and do what we tell you. And then you have this game where there's not as much emphasis on the main narrative or the storyline, but you're given such freedom, such beautiful abandon to just do whatever your heart desires. I think we don't get too many games like that, so to me, it's a beautiful thing, and I think that about sets the first point straight. Part 2, a living world. Okay, so now you've got this big, crazy-ass open world to explore, fields to run through, orbital satellite launches to participate in, but it's pretty pointless if, you know, if there's nobody there, if it just feels like a dead, lifeless world, right? If there's nothing to do. If you were just cruising about this open world doing your thing and it just ended up being some weird dystopian Twilight Zone-ass kind of thing, that would suck, to be completely honest with you. So luckily, I think that this is the second thing that the games do really well. Everywhere you go, everyone you run into seems to have their own place, their own existence, their own purpose in this world. I mean, one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time was playing Oblivion as a teenager, and I fancied myself as somewhat of a master thief. And a virgin as well, you are correct in that assumption, yes. But I would, you know, follow people during the day, plot out their routines and where they would go, scout out the shops, observe the guards, and when night finally fell, bam! I would strike everything in their house, gone, fenced. I would make a mint. Another successful heist completed. Another successful night of not going to any parties or kissing any girls in the real world. A small price to pay for the glory of the gray fox, my friend. And on top of that, every little item acted as a world-building tool. Books and diaries told cool little stories or had smut in them and gave you more insight into people's lives, and they often intersected with events that would take place in the actual game world. Snooping around the streets or people's houses and just listening into the conversations they had gave such a flair to the world, you know, preachers preaching in the streets, little kids in abandoned houses performing satanic rituals to have their orphanage mothers killed, just average Tuesday night shit, and it just made the world seem that much more believable, right? Even the little areas outside of the towns in the unpopulated wilderness, there was always cool little things popping up in different locales, you know, you would run into interesting little singular isolated storylines in the dungeons you explored, or find weird little cult satanic things out in the wilderness. Being accosted randomly by dragons in Skyrim, or finding Oblivion portals to fucking hell in the middle of Oblivion in Morrowind. Right when you leave the first town, some fucking wizard just falls right out of the sky and dies right in front of you. And then you look through his corpse and you find a note that he was tinkering with and exploring a new potion formula that was gonna help him leap great distances across the land, and it didn't work out too well, obviously. GG, my guy, but fucking hilarious, and stuff like that just adds so much color to the world. All these tiny little details that Bethesda took the loving, caring time to put into their worlds to make it not seem like a big, fantastic open world that is devoid of any life or anything, but instead the complete opposite, a living, breathing sanctuary of beauty and stuff. I don't know, I'm getting lost in my words, tripping over my tongue here a little bit, but it stands as the second pillar of why I think these games are great, and you know where I'm going with this. Let's go on to point 3. All right, part 3, atmosphere. Now this is a little bit of a personal preference, but I don't think it's exactly rocket appliances to assume that this is probably why most people like these games. I mean, if you didn't like the high fantasy element of the atmosphere, you probably wouldn't get down with the Elder Scrolls vibe, right? Kind of common sense. You know, personally, that's why I like it so much. You get to explore this fantastic open world of freedom and living life, and you get to do it in Lord of the Rings land. You know, it's fantastic. It's a big thing and why people like most games, the atmosphere. It's one of the reasons why I never really got into the Fallout series, to be completely honest. I mean, most of what I've said in this video so far can be applied to that series as well. They follow a lot of the same dynamics and design philosophies, and they run on the same engines, but I just don't like the dirty brown and gray wasteland post-apocalyptic atmosphere. I get enough of that in real life. Honestly, it's a little depressing. I respect the games a lot, but I just can't vibe with that atmosphere. But give me Middle Earth, bruh, I will take that walk to Mordor. Thank you very much. They just elicit such an adventurous spirit, and you couple that with the amazing soundtrack composed from the last 3 games by Jeremy Soule, and you got yourself an aggregate score of 93% for your last 3 games on Metacritic, my guy. That's a banger formula right there. You know, there's a lot of open world games out there that do the high fantasy thing, but there's not a lot of them that I think do it quite as adventurously and just breathtakingly as the Elder Scrolls series, and that's why I think this stands as the third pillar as to why the Elder Scrolls games are just so amazing. They stand considerably above the rest. Part 4. Conclusion. All in all, I think this just really sums up my feelings towards the formula of what I think the Elder Scrolls utilizes for its dopeness. You know, the dopeness recipe. A massive, sprawling open world that is teeming with life and stories, interesting lore, and world building, all set inside a fantastic high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons Lord of the Rings environment. If you were to just wipe my memory right now, Control-Alt-Delete that shit, blank slate, tabula rasa, and then you were like, dude, what kind of video game would you want, your perfect video game? I would imagine it would sound something similar to that. And I know there are a lot of negative things that you could say about these games. You know, it's pretty popular to hate on Bethesda these days, and for good reason. You know, it's not completely unwarranted. I get it. But at the end of the day, I love these games, and I think they have a lot to offer and a lot of great experiences to bestow upon fresh gamer brains who might not have ever played them. And that's kind of my analysis as to what I think makes the Elder Scrolls so great, the formula for fantasy. Yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.